Okay, so today we are going to do a game analysis and it will deal with the London, the line with the sideline with c6, so bishop f4 c6, and after e3, so a quick explanation of the main ideas. So if they play e3, we go queen b6, targeting their b2 pawn. They will have to defend it with something like queen c1 or b3, or they can decide to sacrifice it by playing knight e2, probably the most tricky, and I'm going to do a video about that as well in the near future. But for now, let's see the game. Queen b6, and after queen c1, I think is not the best move. It does defend queen b2, but the queen really belongs on these two diagonals. If you take a look at the arrows, these light square diagonals, that is where white often has great play on. So if you imagine, for example, the bishop coming here, and then maybe the queen if the queen is still on d1, if the queen would be on d1, it could go, well, yeah, this is covered by knight for the moment, but just to give you an example. And if it's on queen c2, right? So my point is, I don't think it's good for white to give up this diagonal. And now also I think we can immediately jump with our plan. Do our plan knight h5 to pick up that bishop. One idea is to jump to h5, pick up the bishop. Another idea is to play d6 to prepare e5, also prevent a bishop from coming to e5. And so let's say queen b6, queen c1, d6. Now we are sort of threatening bishop f5, after which white wouldn't have this square d3 available. That's why bishop d3 here by my opponent, and here I played knight d7, also preparing some e5. Here I think probably immediately bishop h5 is also possible. You see, if the queen's gone, the queen can pick it up. But knight d7, perfectly fine, right? So after bishop g3, you can play already e5, or you can play this first and prepare some e5 after, let's say, something like this. So let's go back to the game, knight d7, knight f3. Let's also take a look what happens. Maybe that's an idea what some players might have, knight e2, right? With the idea if we're attacking this bishop to pick it up with a knight on g3. Don't think it's the best idea, since let's see what happens then. So here we can immediately play e5 for starters. So if the knight would be on f3, it would put more pressure on e5. That's not the case in this situation, in this position. And also after after h takes g3, the knight is also not greatly placed. Let's say something like this. I think c takes isn't so good, since it opens the file here on, well, not opened, but I guess we can open it perhaps. And after something like knight takes e4, knight f6, we can trade the pieces. And after, let's say, oh yeah, this is an interesting idea. So here white wants to infiltrate on h6, so that's something even though it wasn't played in the game, it's still interesting to take a look at. So here, not bishop g7, because rook h6 is possible. And now picking up the bishop would be a bad idea, since there is rook to here and you can't really escape, you can't really protect h7. So instead of bishop f6, there is the nice move queen d6, with the point that if now rook h6, well, we are pinning the queen for starters, and if if king b1, now we can go bishop g7, and now this doesn't work since we have queen on f6, and with queen to g7 we are protecting everything. So that was a nice little idea that I thought I would show you, just in case it will pop up in some of your own games. So let's go back to the game. So let's quickly go through the starting moves. d4, knight f6, bishop f4, c6, e3, queen b6, queen c1, and d6. Preparing e5, taking away the square, bishop d3. Otherwise we would have had the opportunity to play bishop f5 ourselves, knight e7, knight f3. So we just saw that knight g3, knight e2 here isn't so good. And if knight h5, I think pretty much all of your opponents are going to drop it back to g3. Yeah, some might try g5, but then we have a similar position only with pawns here and here, which isn't so bad for black. So bishop g3, and here just take. G6 was something I considered, but I thought maybe white can try to keep this bishop with bishop h4. Turns out that after h6 and g5 it's still trapped, but well, just taking right away is good enough, certainly good enough. And here now after g6 we are blunting this bishop, we are fianchettoing this bishop and hoping to activate this after something like probably e5, maybe c5. So here c3, bishop to g7, knight to d2, it threatens knight c4, that's why, well, our queen has done its job here, so now it can drop back to c7. So there's no more tempo with knight c4, and also we are now preparing e5 with all of our pieces. The bishop supports it, the knight supports it, the queen supports it, the pawn supports it. So there is no way, I think, for white to really stop it. Queen c2, e5, castles long. And now I think this was an inaccuracy by me. So castles, why? And I think my opponent was thinking about this, but in the end he played g4. But here the rook sack, rook takes h7 is actually pretty interesting, with the point that after king h7, bishop takes, knight g5. In the end there is a fork on the rook and the queen. And after queen a5, queen g6, this is still okay for black. If you let Stockfish calculate, he will probably say it's about equal. But, well, there's no point in allowing this, so instead better would have been to play e takes d4, and c takes d4 is, I think, not so good. Then just knight f6, and if e takes d4, now we can castle since the rook sack is no longer as good. So queen a5, queen to g6, rook f7. And here black's attack is over. I suppose the main difference with taking here is that after e takes e4, castles, rook h7, and all of this. So the difference is that after queen g6, this queen covers this entire fifth rank with the pawn gone. So that's, I suppose, the big difference. So let's go back. My opponent played g4. So with the knight in the way, I can't take. Instead, I chose to go g5, threatening e4. So white takes, has to give up some space advantages in the center. And after this, obviously, he jumps in with a tempo with the knight. Then after queen takes e7, knight to h2. I'm guessing he wants perhaps to push his pawns, but didn't like me to take this pawn here. And here I played f5, which was a mistake. There was a far stronger move here, I think even winning for black, if you find the plan. It's kind of hard to spot if, well, the opponent is attacking you all the time, you finally catch your breath, and then it's not always so easy to think about the counter-attack. But here the counter-attack would have been extremely strong. You see the queen from e7 here supports a b4 break, and also this bishop combined with this rook would become extremely strong. For example, rook e1, right? Let's say white wants to play f4, so he protects this e3 pawn. Then already b4 is very uncomfortable. Let me do that again. So b5, yeah, let's say f4, and now let's say white continues as if nothing is going on. Then queen a3, we infiltrate, and it's game over from here. Right, we're threatening all kinds of things, and white's attack is over. So b5 was the move to turn the game around, well, to try to grab a winning advantage. Instead, f5, being, I think, a bit too focused on white's own attack. Now, what I do want you to notice is that often when this f5 gets opened, the f2 pawn could be weak. So knight f3, rook e8, covering some squares on the e file, just in case, let's say this bishop has to take, then there are no knight e5 jumps. So just an improving move, queen e4, and here I think an endgame it would be great for me. That would be great for black. Also, this pawn is hanging again. So obviously white doesn't want to trade. b5, and after rook to h1, I played h6, rook h4, hitting this queen. Queen e7, queen c2, and here I made a mistake. I played rook f8. Sorry, I made a mistake. Not again a couple of moves. So g5, king b1, and here I played b4, which was a mistake. I said maybe a5 would have been interesting. Engine suggests queen d7 as well. Alright, targeting this rook. So b4 just drops a pawn, and opponent took with the rook. Taking with the pawn would have been better. So the upside for me is not that now this diagonal is weak, and I might have some ideas going rook b8 later after maybe a5 or c5. But opponent took with the rook, I played c5, and after rook a4 I played c4, cutting off the rook from this fourth rank, from the king side. And after rook f1 I played queen e4, insisting on the queen trade. Well, the queen is pinned, so opponent took the advantage to grab a pawn on a7, but after takes g4, the knight has to move. And now after king c1 and bishop f6, seems like this endgame is totally winning for me, but here actually I had, I think, under a minute on the clock, and the game ended up in a draw. We both made some hasty decisions, probably made some mistakes, and the game ended in a draw. Still, I think it's a very good game to see what's up with this queen c1 variation. And let's see what the engine says. So here, this is where I played b4, right? So I dropped my pawn for really no good reason. Here I had the opportunity to go with b5. So as you can see, did I make? Yeah, looks like I made two blunders. Well, I missed b5, and here I dropped the pawn. So, but as you can see, very decent line for black. If you know the IDs and if you play it for a couple of times, I'm sure that you, well, not sure, but I hope that you will enjoy it, and it will be useful for you to win some games of your own against this annoying London system. That's all for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment, and I will see you maybe in one of the next ones.